So, hello everyone. I will wait a couple of seconds until it is also transmitted to Instagram, which it doesn't work right now. So give us a few seconds that it is connecting. Unable to connect. So give us a few moments. Instagram is not cooperating right now. So let's wait. Unable to connect. So it may take a couple of minutes. Let's see. No, it doesn't want to. Let's see if that works. Unable to connect. Okay, that is unfortunate. So, sorry for the ones that are already in the live stream. I will try to reconnect as we don't seem to get Instagram running right now. So please allow me a couple of moments. Let's try it again. Maybe it works better. Kopieren. So now it works. That is amazing. I apologize for the longer waiting period. But yeah, Facebook, sometimes the technique works, sometimes it doesn't. So thank you for joining. We have the topic traveling solo to a Galapagos dive liveaboard. And I wanted to start this time to give everyone, the chance to stream in. Don't tell me where you're streaming in from, but tell me if you have traveled solo before. And if you did, maybe let me know where you traveled to, just to give a couple of minutes for everyone to join. So the topic today, and have you ever dreamed of going diving in the Galapagos Islands, but you stopped yourself? Sorry, our noisy neighbors. But you stopped yourself because you didn't find someone to go with. You didn't have a buddy really to go with. So then if that happened before, then that life is really the right thing for you, because we will go a little bit about, solo traveling to the Galapagos. And I hope that you realize how, often it happens and how incredible a journey to the Galapagos Islands are. So if you just streamed in, let me know if you have traveled solo before. And before we go, in the topic, hi everyone, I'm Jenny. I'm the founder of Galapagos Shark Diving. Galapagos Shark Diving is a tour or dive tour agency which has a very strong focus on conservation and a lot of passion for the underwater world of the Galapagos. So the topic today is, can I, join a Galapagos trip but alone because I don't have anyone? And I would say yes, and I would not only say yes, but I would encourage you, and you probably should. Over the last, I would say, years, I helped many, many divers to go to the Galapagos, to come to the Galapagos, and a huge percentage of it, believe it or not, they traveled alone. And what does it mean to travel alone? Is it common? Is it not common? But when you're going on a dive liveaboard in the Galapagos, in comparison to other destinations where I know it's not as common, it is common. I would say sometimes even 50% of the guests, they're traveling alone. And when you're going there, you have, the same mindset. It's conservation focused. There are others like you. I mean, why do people travel alone, right? They're might not have the same dive buddy. You might have friends at diving, but maybe they're just open water. They don't have the same experience like you, or the schedules just don't fit. We are so busy nowadays that timings usually don't work, because if you're traveling to the Galapagos, you want to go on the best time, right? And maybe your friends don't have time in that, and other people prioritize maybe different locations, or maybe it's not in terms of budget wise possible because it is not the cheapest, but I think the best place to dive. So there are different reasons why you would consider to travel alone. And before we go into some of those topics, I want to share my experience of solo traveling with you. And many, many years ago, in my beginning 30s, I had the first time the luck that I had 3 months off. I had a tiny, tiny sabbatical, and I traveled to Australia and New Zealand. I was terrified of traveling alone, as a woman. And I thought it's not as common at that time. And I actually was looking online, to find other women to travel with, because I didn't want to be alone. I was afraid of it. And I did find people to travel with, and I traveled the 3 months, and I met so many people that traveled alone, and I thought, man, that's what I want. It's actually, that is what I want. So I went back after those 3 months and did everything I could. I saved money, and worked my ass off. And then a few years later, went on a year sabbatical. And that is now 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, actually, that I went on a 1 year sabbatical to South America. And well, it was the best time I ever had. I mean, I wasn't afraid anymore of traveling alone. I was, because there were certain things I wasn't really sure about. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anyone. So I still was a little bit, buried, but man, I had such a good time. The only thing I booked was my ticket to Colombia and the dive liveaboard in the Galapagos, because I knew I wanted to do that. That's the thing that I want to do. And yes, I was worried about, oh God, how is it? How the other people, can I even communicate with them? My English wasn't that good at that time either. My Spanish was horrible. I mean, I did a 2-week crash course in Spanish before I started traveling. But when I went on this liveaboard, all of them, they shared the same passion. They loved the ocean. They were like-minded because they loved diving. They loved the underwater world. They were like me, in a way. And so what started out of a lot of, oh my gosh, should I do that, ended up in so many interesting conversations. You got ideas where to travel next. You just bonded very, very easily, because you share the passion for the ocean, the passion for sometimes conservation, because I was very, very lucky when I went there that I had a group, or a scientist, a shark scientist on board. So the people on board shared the same passion of conservation in the ocean. And so it was a fantastic trip. And but I do understand the fear of traveling alone. So yeah, that is just, my story. And I would like to start the conversation a little bit to give you maybe first an idea of how does a day, look like on a dive liveaboard, and then a little bit into the concerns that I had, or maybe you have, before you want to travel alone. So on a dive liveaboard, you wake up usually quite early because your day is full of diving. You grab your coffee or tea or whatever you have. Then you head into your first dive briefing. You do that as a group, and then you go on your first dive. And oh my gosh, there's nothing more beautiful just to wake up with sharks and whale sharks and rays and turtles, and it's such a magical feeling. And I'm not a morning person. I don't really like to talk before my first coffee. So what I'm usually did, or still do on dive liveaboards, I come up, I will quickly have my coffee, I will get into my wetsuit, and I will jump in. And the way of waking up, amazing, amazing. And then you come back. I mean, believe me, the hammerhead shark dives are the best to bond. So you come back and you talk automatically. You say what you see underwater, what you saw underwater, what you felt, because they felt the same, they saw the same. So you exchanging, you laughing, and after the first dive you already bonded. It's you come as a stranger, but anyway. You go for the next dive. You have first your breakfast, and you chat about the dive. Then you have your second dive. You see more hammerheads, more Galapagos, more action. Then you have your lunch. In the afternoon, we often, when you're coming to one of our science trips, we have different topics. If it's about the whale shark project, the science that we're doing, or if it's about conservation that you can do and help with on the trip, or other conservation based topics, where it's always optional, so you can join, but you don't have to. But it's often a very interesting topic, so people join and bond a little bit. And then the later afternoon, often we try to see, the sunset maybe. Then you have your dinner where you chat with your fellow travelers. And some of you, then go to bed, like me, or some head up and look at the stars. I mean, the stars are just incredible. If you have clear skies, in the Galapagos, the stars are incredible, because you don't have a lot of light pollutions up in the north where we're diving. So amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's a day. And, you see already, there's not much, because everything is very organized. There's not much space for feeling alone, right? So let's go into the worries. And I personally had, when I, went the first time alone to the dive liveaboard in the Galapagos, but also what a lot of questions I'm getting from solo travelers before their book. The first questions is always, do I will feel alone? And that was a question that I had very, very much. Will I be there with 15 other people and I have feel alone? And no, I mean, I think liveaboards are one of the best ways to experience, and also the social bonding, because again, you have common interest, you have common passion, and so you definitely will not feel alone, unless you do want to have alone. So a lot of dive liveaboards also have areas where you can just take your time off. I discovered in my year of travel that I actually like that. I do like a few minutes for myself. I personally, and I didn't mention that early on when I talked about my traveling, was I think the best part of it was that I was alone, and that I personally allowed myself to be with my thoughts and with me, paying attention to me, which I think in my day-to-day life I did not do very often, and that was just the best in my travel of this year. So if you're worried of feeling alone, no, you won't be alone at all, but you can if you want. Will I have a dive buddy? Of course, you will have a dive buddy. So we will always match you up with similar experience, similar air consumption, etc. And in the Galapagos, you have to know you always dive as a group. So you always have the dive guide with you, etc., etc. So you will not be alone underwater. So yes, of course, we will pair you up with a good dive buddy. And then the question is always, will I feel awkward? Maybe the first 10 minutes when you come on board, like everyone else. And then the latest after the first dive, you are already a big community on the ship, if not even a family. It's I often like to say you come as a stranger, but you leave with a dive family. And you get a lot of options. You don't have to stay in contact with each other, but you can. And I often, for our trips at least, I create a WhatsApp group where everyone can communicate beforehand if you want. Not many do, but during the trip, often it's used for, changing videos and photos, but also to stay in contact afterwards. And it's incredible how many groups are staying in contact afterwards. And you don't have to, but it gives you the option of meeting a lot of people that feel and think the same like you and enjoy the same like you. You get a lot of ideas, where to travel next, where to dive next. So it suddenly offers you a wide range of things that you can do. And from our solo female travelers, I often get the question, will there be other solo female travelers? And I say, yes, yes, yes. I don't know if it's more on our trips that we attract so many more solo female travelers, but especially in the recent years, I personally have to say we attract so many more female travelers that are traveling solo, and I love it because I only really can encourage you. The year traveling alone was, it changed my life. I allowed myself to have time with myself to, you can do the things that you want without, having to discuss it with someone else. And it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the chances if you're booking in the Galapagos to find another female solo traveler is very, very high. And as I said, in the recent years, personally, it increased a lot, a lot, a lot. So if you are female, if you're, don't have anyone to travel, but you really want to, oh man, go. It's no better time than now. What concern a lot of solo travelers have, female, male, doesn't really matter, is the money side in terms of single supplement. So single supplement is only if you want to have your own cabin. So what often happens with solo travelers is that we will pair you up with the same-sex traveler, a diver. So females that share with females, males with males, and that's the same price. If you, however, decide, no, I actually really want to have my own cabin, then a single supplement applies, obviously, because you always have to keep in mind they're limited cabins. So if you have 16 guests, it's 8 cabins that are on board. If you want to have your own cabin, this place cannot be sold from the ship, and that's the reason why they need to charge a single supplement. However, if you're willing to share a cabin, it's exactly the same price than if you would travel with a buddy. And if you would travel with a buddy, you would share the room anyway. So very often it's not more expensive traveling alone. That is not, a concern you really have to worry about. And actually, sometimes it's nice to share a cabin, for example, with your dive buddy, because you can exchange, you chat and you bond, and anyway. So that is not a concern. And what I want to emphasize a little bit, and a lot of people do not expect it, is actually the solo travelers have the best experience. Because I don't know, for everyone who traveled already alone, you will, know that you're just way more open, you're more present, and you're more connected. Simple reason, because, you're open. You want to interact with other people. If you're traveling with someone, and I saw that during my year of travel, where I really enjoyed traveling alone. I had a couple of friends, they were missing from time to time, but in this period when I was traveling with a friend, we were very much focused on each other. I think in Bolivia, I had a friend of mine visiting, and we shared a lot of things, and it was amazing, interesting experience, but you were less open. If you're traveling alone, you having so many more conversations with other people, and I think other solo traveler have less hassle to approach you and to have a chat than if you would be 2 people, which is very interesting. So I think that a lot of people do not have that in mind. So, if you're getting out of your comfort zone and traveling alone, that is where the magic happens. I met so many incredible people on the way, had a lot of, fun, and also enjoyed the time alone. So, if you never traveled alone, you might have an incredible experience that you're not expecting. That is just what I also wanted to say, because many people don't have that in their head, especially if you never traveled alone. I think the main focus, what I want to give to you, if you're thinking about traveling alone to the Galapagos and to do a liveaboard, is one, the Galapagos are very, very special. So if you're underwater diving and you see the hundreds and hundreds of hammerheads, or your first whale shark, or the sunfish, or marine iguanas, or there's so much to see. The bonding that goes on to share this incredible experience is quite special. And I feel the connection you have with those people is more intense than in other places. You share, especially if you're booking on one of our shark conservation trips, you share the same passion. You share, the passion for conservation, for the ocean, for the protection of the ocean. And you're already like-minded. So the people on board are already like you have already something that you're sharing. And the conversations are, I find, so much more easy. And it really is a family afterwards. And it's just, gives you a new family, a new community that you can travel in the future with if you want to, And we had, few groups that meeting up quite regularly, if it's in the Galapagos or other places, which is quite nice. And it's a very small group, obviously, on board. It's usually 15, max 16 guests on board. So you have a very small group, and so you get to know each other quite well, which is nice. And I think the conversations are just very, very deep because you're sharing the same passion. You're like-minded, and again, as I said already, you come as a stranger, but you leave, with a dive family or community, which is quite nice. And I mean, I just invite you to, imagine the video that I just posted this week. Hundreds and hundreds of hammerheads. Sometimes you don't know where to look first, and just to be surrounded by hammerheads is just incredible. And when you then realize, man, the only reason I'm not going is because I'm, I don't know who to go with. No, I mean, decide to go anyway. I only can recommend it to you. And question is always oftenly timing. When should I go? I answered that question for the Galapagos in another live a little bit more in detail, but the best time is June to October. So that is the colder season in the Galapagos, where you have a stronger cold current with a lot of nutrients, a lot of food, basically, in the Galapagos Islands. So you have a front, the equatorial front in the Galapagos, in certain places where you have just a lot of nutrients. A lot of food means a lot of more animals, lots of little more fish means big fish. So it's an explosion of life. Some studies show July and the following months are a little bit better for hammerheads. So July to November is the best for the hammerheads. June to October, best for the whale sharks. So I would say that's the reason why we picked July, August, September as the best months for all of those things that you want to see in the Galapagos. That is why we do our trips there. For 2026, unfortunately, we do not have a lot of spaces. I think we have 3 spots also open. Interesting enough, single spots, as we do get a lot of single travelers. So if you're still considering for 2026, have a look in those time. But most of you are already planning for 2027 and 28. I know that. And so if you have questions about those, don't wait. Ask me if you have any questions about the diving. But yeah, I definitely can help you with that. We do, as most of you know, we do our citizen science trips in July, August, September, but I also help you with all the other trips. So if you say, man, I really want to go in August, September, but the dates that you have, that just don't fit my schedule, can you help me to find something else? No problem whatsoever. However, a lot of the dive liveaboards are already quite full. So, but if you have questions with that, just contact me via email, WhatsApp. I answer as fast as possible. So, I mean, to finalize a little bit, okay, who should go to the Galapagos? If you were thinking about it, don't wait, just go. If the ocean is calling you, just go. I mean, don't think about it. Really, it is. I mean, you saw the videos, and it's just a GoPro video that I took underwater, but I'm posting online, and it's not high quality. But you already see how magical the underwater world is there. So it's if you're looking for a dive holiday where you have an incredible experience, but you also want to do it with a meaning, with some vacation, but a meaningful vacation, do it. All of our profits that we are generating with our trips is going straight into shark research. So your money is helping shark conservation in the Galapagos Islands, which is crucial, as you know, for the oceans and for the health of the oceans. So go. And if you're feeling ready to have a fantastic time, but also to go a little bit out of your comfort zone and travel the first time alone, go. If you have questions, and a lot of I think female travelers always are, I'm there. I can help you with all the preparation. If then questions come, oh God, how do I fly there? What do I have to think about? What do I have to do in the airport in Ecuador? Where do I have to change plans? Which costs are extra, etc., etc. There's so many little questions about, oh God, where do I get a hotel? What should I do? I'm there. I'm super happy to help, and I hope, at least that is the feedback that I got from most of you that travel with us. So whoever is maybe there that traveled already with us, I hope that I can, give a lot of comfort and safety and all the pre-preparations. Don't worry about that. If that is your concern, book. Go, because you also don't know how long our oceans are as they are. Right now, the Galapagos are just mind-blowing. Diving is just incredible. But we don't know how long it is. We have a lot of groups, and a lot of mindsets are changing in terms of conservation and what we're doing for the ocean, but there's still a long way to go. We still have a tiny percent of the oceans, maybe 4, maybe 8% of the oceans are protected, and the rest we're just dumping and garbage, and we overfishing nearly all places, etc., and it's just, you don't know how long the oceans look like they do. So if you're considering going to the Galapagos, do it. It is a mind-blowing experience. And I think it also is an experience that will encourage you to protect the oceans. Because, if you see the beauty, you know that it's worth to protect it. So, I would go. So if you're watching that, and we're thinking about solo traveling, do it. And I would be more than happy to assist you with any question that you have about the Galapagos. So don't wait for the right person or the right time or whatever. If you are, if the ocean is calling, you might best have the best time. And maybe, a trip like that is changing your life as well. For me, I can tell you that trip to the Galapagos, but also in general, the sabbatical, the solo traveling, it changed my life. I mean, completely. A little bit more dramatic than in other situations, but my life changed, and I'm very, very happy. So I only can encourage you, try it out. You might like it a lot. So okay, with that I've finished. And if you have any questions, they don't have to be related to solo traveling, but if you have any questions about the Galapagos Islands, if you have any questions about the diving there, anything, please let me know. I'm super happy to answer them right now. If you found that live helpful, I will repost it afterwards. Facebook does it automatically, and YouTube, but Instagram give me a couple of minutes before I have posted it. Share it. If you think someone else might like it, tag this person. That would be amazing. I just hope it helped a little bit, and maybe encourage one of you to think about going. So let's see if we can find some questions. Prefer travel solo, currently finishing up a trip in Greenland. That sounds amazing. Yes, solo traveling is indeed quite amazing. God bless your work always. Thank you. Thanks for the caring, Galapagos. Thank you so much, Diego. Sempre poder ir a viaje con usted. One day it will happen, Diego, I'm sure. Hi from the Galapagos. Hi, Paolo. Thank you for joining. Galapagos is most place for diving. Yeah, Diego, you're right. The Galapagos is one of those places which are just mind blowing for diving. It's very hard to compare it really with other places, and people always say, yeah, but what is so amazing on it? You need to go, yeah, to really see it. Let's see if I find any messages there. No, I think on Facebook there are no questions, or I'm not seeing it. So please, if you did put questions on Facebook and YouTube and I didn't see it right now, don't worry, I will go through it later and answer those questions. For most of it, I don't think. There's one more question. How much to travel for in October? So the prices, as I said already in the live, Diego, Galapagos is not the cheapest. So you in Galapagos, you have the option between day diving and liveaboard. Day diving, you stay around the main islands. So you're not getting to Wolf and Darwin because it's just too far away. On a dive liveaboard, you will have a different experience in terms of diving. You know, the big schools of hammerheads, the whale sharks, etc., etc. So that is what you want to do if you're going there. The dive liveaboards in October, it is still high season, as you know, would range at this moment in 2026, I believe, between 5,000 for the cheapest vessels, 5,500, and go up, up to, I think the more luxury ones at this moment for this year are at 7,500, 7,800, more or less. So that is the price range for 2026 at this moment. As you can imagine, with all the increases in fuel prices, etc., they're increasing their prices for the future trips. So we are hopefully publishing our 2028 dates, but you can already see that obviously prices are rising as they have to calculate things like fuel prices and other things that, increasing just the prices in the Galapagos in general. It is an island, everything has to be imported, everything has to be, brought in. So it is still something to consider. And so, do I see any more questions, guys? It's your time, so use it. I know I was talking a little bit too much today. I'm very sorry. Solo traveling, I think, is just something that is so just changed my life so much that I thought that's a topic that I want to share with you. So yeah, again, if you liked the live, if there was anything for you in there that was really good, then please share it or tag the person that you think, might be this live might be useful for. So please don't be shy. So from what I see, there's no further questions. Yeah, I just can mention, go, don't wait for the right person. It is an incredible experience, and you will find a lot of like-minded people that share the same passion, and it will make your trip even more special. So I would definitely recommend. Best time, as I said, June to October is the main season, or considered, or June to November, I would say, is the best season. Hammerheads studies show, and if you want, you can surf on our webpage. There are a couple of articles and studies. So shark scientists in the Galapagos figured out for hammerheads the best time is July to November. Where they are most concentrated in the big schools. For whale sharks, the best time is June to October. They usually come in May, and I know that some of our dive guides, they already reported the first whale sharks are seen in Darwin this week or last week, I believe. So it started already, so might be quite early. And but yeah, the best time is June to October for whale sharks. And other animals are all year round, but not always in the same numbers. So you will still see, hammerheads if you're going in January, February. This February was a little bit colder than usual. We had some cold currents coming in, but usually January and February are colder, but not as many hammerheads, for example, and not really good chances to see whale sharks, but you never know because it is dependent. And if you're wondering what is the best time, watch one of our older lives, because there I explained a little bit better what is happening with the currents and why it is changing, also from week to week, because the front that we have where the different currents are coming together with the Humboldt and Cromwell and Panama, it's shifting every week, every day, and so it's the best time frame, but you cannot say, okay, that 1 month is the best, because it's changing. It's, the world is changing, but also the weather, obviously, and the conditions. You can only, I would highly recommend, take the months that are considered the best months, because that is just increasing your chances to see what you see and want to see when you're coming, because it is quite a long way to travel to the Galapagos Islands. I would always make sure increase your chances as much as you can to see the wildlife that you are coming for. So okay, so let's look again, Hax. Thank you, Diego. Okay, I think there are no more questions. If, however, you should have any more questions, just put it under the live in Facebook and YouTube. I can see it directly. In Instagram, if you're watching from Instagram, just give us like 15 minutes until I manage to upload the video, the live to Instagram, and then you can put your questions below, and I will be more than happy to answer it. Or if you want to chat with me, you're thinking about it, but you have so many like personal questions, WhatsApp is good and email is good, and I will try to answer as fast as possible. And yeah, for that, I wish you all a beautiful Sunday. I hope it was a little bit of interesting. I hope it gave you a couple of more informations, and hope to see you all in the Galapagos at one point. It is magical, it is beautiful, so I only highly recommend to go.